AP Chemistry, Unit 9.3, Gibbs free energy and thermodynamic favorability. A reaction can be identified as spontaneous or non-spontaneous. We could also say that a reaction is thermodynamically favored or not thermodynamically favored. These serve the same function. A reaction is more likely to be spontaneous if it's exothermic, so it has a negative delta H, but some endothermic reactions are still spontaneous. And a reaction is more likely to be spontaneous if there's an increase in entropy, so a positive delta S, but some reactions that decrease disorder can also be spontaneous. Temperature is going to be crucial in order to determine the spontaneity and the thermodynamic favorability of a reaction, so make sure that you're paying attention to the relative magnitude of the temperature the reaction is occurring at. Gibbs free energy, or delta G, is the maximum amount of energy available from any reaction. It's going to be measured in the standard state, which is going to be at 1 atmosphere and 298 Kelvin. And it's calculating delta G, we can help to determine if the system has enough energy available overall to undergo the process of the reaction, and therefore if the reaction will occur at all. It is important to note that the Gibbs free energy is measured in kilojoules per mole, as S is not, entropy is not measured in kilojoules, so making sure that you are paying attention to the overall units are very crucial for this. Spontaneous reactions are going to have a negative delta G, and non-spontaneous reactions will have a positive delta G. And this is the equation to determine whether a reaction is going to be thermodynamically favored or not. So delta G naught is equal to the sum of the number of moles times the delta G of the products minus the sum of the number of moles times the delta G of the reactants. And then we're going to do an example problem here. So we are asked to calculate delta G naught and determine the overall favorability of a reaction here. And then we are provided the delta G values for all of the reactants and products that are within the reaction. So again, we're going to have our equation here, and then we're going to very carefully make sure that we are plugging in the coefficients from the balanced chemical equation multiplied by the delta G of each. And so we have products minus reactants. So first up for my product is going to be water. So I have 2 from the coefficient from the balanced chemical equation. Water's delta G is negative 237. And then we have 4 from our carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide's delta G is negative 394. And then we have 2 nitrogens, and nitrogen's delta G is 0. And then from our reactants, we have 4 of the hydrocyanic acid, and so 4 times the delta G of the hydrocyanic acid, and then 5 oxygens. Oxygen's delta G is 0, so 5 times 0. Overall, that would get me a value of negative 2052 for our products, for the sum of our products. And then our reactants, these are positive. However, we are subtracting the value of our delta G from our reactants, and so we are going to have overall negative. So negative 2052 minus 484 kilojoules per mole gives me a total delta G for the reaction as negative 2,536 kilojoules per mole, and thus the reaction is going to be thermodynamically favored, aka it will be spontaneous. We can also calculate delta G from our delta H and delta S values, so from our entropy and enthalpy values, and that relationship is here. So delta G is equal to delta H minus temperature multiplied by delta S. Okay, so Gibbs free energy is equal to the enthalpy of the system minus the temperature of the system multiplied by the entropy of the system. Okay, it is very, very crucial that you are paying attention to the actual units that are given for all of these values here. So you need to make sure that your temperature value is given in Kelvin. It may initially be given in Celsius. You need to make sure that you convert it to Kelvin. And then also for your entropy value, it is normally reported in joules per mole Kelvin. However, all of the rest of the units here are kilojoules per mole. The Kelvin is being taken care of by the temperature value here. However, you need to convert from joules to kilojoules in order to be able to adequately subtract these values and report in the correct unit overall. When entropy is favorable, so we have a positive delta S, and enthalpy is favorable, so we have a negative delta H, then the reaction will be thermodynamically favorable, and we will have a negative delta G. When entropy is unfavorable, we have a negative delta S, and enthalpy is unfavorable, a positive delta H. The reaction will never be favorable, no matter what. Remember that the overall signs and magnitudes of these, delta H is in kilojoules per mole, delta S is in joules per mole Kelvin, and then delta G is in kilojoules per mole. So if I have a negative delta H value, but a positive delta S value, I'm going to be able to overcome this positive delta S value and have a overall net negative, and therefore net favorable condition, thermodynamically favorable condition, because delta S is so much smaller, being in joules per mole Kelvin. So all temperatures will favor a system where the enthalpy of the system is overall represented as a negative value, and the entropy of the system is represented as a positive value. If these are reversed, so I have an overall positive enthalpy value and a negative entropy value, this is incredibly not favorable. This is not going to happen under any condition. No temperature is going to be able to overcome the positive delta H value, and so this reaction will not occur. If my delta H value is positive and my delta S value is also positive, this will only be favorable at extremely high temperatures. And then finally, if my enthalpy value is negative and my entropy value is also negative, this will only be favorable at low temperatures. Because again, I'm dealing with trying to have the relative magnitudes for delta H and delta S be such that I have a negative delta G value.